Okay, no problem. Hi, Sam.
Hey. Afternoon.
Barely afternoon. Just having my breakfast. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's quick lunch. It's a quick lunch.
Yeah,
It's a brunch. It's a brunch.
It's a brunch.
Yeah, brunch, exactly. Okay. All right, let's go to So Anu, I think we did 4, right? So Anu, you want to start with 5?
Sure. You enabled file encryption on your local computer. While you were on vacation, one of your coworkers managed to get onto your computer and share your important files with others. How did they do this? The option is D. They logged on with your username and password.
Lynn, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Besides somebody breaking into your computer, right? Like maybe somebody hacking into your computer, the only way they can get into your computer and get into your files is if they somehow have access to your username and password, right?
Yeah.
So let's say your computer, it's kind of like you saved your username and password. So all you do is you just click, and you get in, something like that. So, yeah, but generally to get into a computer, you have to have the username and password. You can't even, I don't think there's any computer, laptops or desktops that actually save the username and password. That's for websites, right? So that computer, maybe the person, how so it's possible that somebody put their passwords on their computer, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
You put your password on your computer, and somebody can just go there, one of your coworkers, and this is like the worst password in the world. But a lot of people use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as their password. Believe it or not. So that is very possible if you don't do that. Okay. Number 6. Which of the following types of?
Can you just ask a question? Shouldn't A be true as well? I mean, would they be able to access the files if they still were encrypted?
Actually, that's a good question. So, yeah, actually, I didn't see question A, so that's a good one there. You said, Alex. So, let's see it again. You enabled file encryption on your local computer. While you were on vacation, one of your computers managed to get onto your computer and share your files. So, this looks like a possible answer too, because no, but the thing is this, Alex. If you log into your computer or somebody else logs in, right, with your username and password, right, it's like it was you who was logging in. Mm-hmm. Your files will not be encrypted. I mean, even though they're encrypted, you can still read the files because you're logged in, right? So if I log in on your computer with your credentials, I'm going to see all the files there with no problem. So I don't have to
the question
disable.
said that they shared the files with other users, so maybe this is why the encryption should be disabled.
Yeah, but remember, they have logged in already, so it's just kind of like the actual owner who has logged in. So what does the actual answer say? Is that the answer? Is it A?
I don't know. I was just
Okay, let's
wondering
see.
why it could not be.
Yeah. So my point is, if you log in with somebody's username and password, right? The computer doesn't know the difference. It's like the same person logged in. Now, if you log into your computer, you can share your files. You don't have to disable anything. As long as you are logged in, you can do whatever you want to do.
Ah, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So
yes,
if this co-worker was able to log in, right, it is just like the actual owner logging in. You don't have to disable anything except you want to. You can share your files, you can send the files, you can do whatever you want. So now that you brought up that point, let's verify. So Anu, Alex is challenging your answer. So let's see.
D is correct.
It's B?
D.
The same answer, right? Yeah. Let's just verify it. 10. So, yeah, so look at that, Alex. So the only way for that to happen is if somebody had your username and password and logged into your computer as you, right? They logged in as you. Make sense?
yes.
Yeah, so once you're logged in as somebody else, that's why username and password is very critical. If somebody gets a hold of your login information, they can do anything to your computer. Anything. It would just be like it was you logging in yourself. Oh, what did I do? I logged out. I went out of the book. They just changed the interface of the book, like last night. So everything looks a bit different. So I'm trying to figure out if I was hacked. I don't think it was. They updated the interface, so everything looks a bit weird to me. So I gotta kind of go back a little bit here. Things change. Yeah, more buttons to click. Okay, so that's the logged in with your username and password. Number 6. And Juman, are you there? Which of the following types of data should be considered confidential and handled appropriately? Confidential information. As Juman.
Here, our freeze is damaged. Some people came to fix it. Sorry. I read
So
it.
go ahead.
Yes. Number 6. Which of the following types of data should be considered confidential and handled appropriately? Which of the following types of data should be considered confidential and handled appropriately? Financial information, social networking site, customer information, contact information. In the following types of data should be considered confidential and handled. It's financial information and social networking site, contact information or customer information.
You have to choose one. Or rather, you have to choose 2. So you already chose financial information. What else?
Yes, and I think it's Customer information.
Customer information.
Yes.
May, do you agree with Anjuman?
Yes, I agree.
Why not social networking site like your Twitter account or your Facebook, TikTok?
Oh, it's also social networking site also confidential.
Is your social networking site like confidential information?
Yes.
You post pictures to, where you went on vacation, picture of your cat, and a few things, your interests. I think under this discussion here, when we talk about confidential information, because social networking, you share it with everybody anyway, right? You always, everybody sees your social networking site. You invite people to your Facebook page, right? You share your Twitter handle with people so people can see your information. But do you share if I say, Anu, can you log into your bank and show us your bank account? You're like, are you crazy? Or if we say, maybe Arch works in a hospital and we say, Arch, can you just show us a list of your customers? Arch is going to say, well, are you going to pay for it? Give me some money, maybe I'll do it. So those two types of information are confidential. They're not things that you just share without going through, the proper procedures. All right. So those two answers will be your answers there. Number 7, Arch.
Which type of software will help protect your computer from malicious network traffic?
First of all, Arch, what is malicious network traffic?
Like some unauthorized websites, like
what?
Some websites have virus or something.
Like viruses?
Yeah.
Okay, viruses. All right. So, what do you need to protect your computer?
Antivirus.
Is that a question? You're like, no. Antivirus?
Like to have download install antivirus and protect.
You don't sound like you're sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so let's see. Maybe we should ask Sam to help us out here. Everybody says yes. Let's ask Sam.
But there is firewall.
Okay, go ahead. So. Ask me. No. The answer is, I don't know. I would choose. I would choose A and D.
Yeah.
And how about?
No, it's only one answer.
How about C? Wait a minute.
I choose all of them.
How about A, B, C, and D? All of the above, right?
Okay, because I've never heard of B. I've never heard of anything like that. So I don't know. Maybe they have. I guess I have heard of something like that. But it won't. Well, I don't know. That might. Yeah. So someone, make it hard for someone to steal my password if I'm careful.
So what we want to know is to protect your computer from viruses, for example.
Really?
That's basically the question. Malicious network traffic.
Okay.
Yes.
How about what do you call that ware that the Russians have been using? That
Ransomware.
Ransomware. What about ransomware? Yeah.
Well, but how do you mean you use, what do you do with ransomware? Ransomware is an attack.
Uh-huh. So
That's an attack.
it's phishing. They have to fish. They have to do phishing first, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, yes.
That sounds
yes.
malicious to me. That's very malicious.
Okay.
Okay.
So we still don't know the answer.
No, but it's your turn. Now it's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn? Okay, let's go to Alex. Alex, you want to help us out here?
I would go with D, but this is not something that I'm really sure about.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so right here it's talking about malicious software. So let's see. All right, so let's see what it's recommending here. This is Microsoft Edge. Okay, so look at this here. There are 4 main classes of, actually, let's look at this here. Let's go up here. So malware infections are one of the most common security risks that you will encounter. There are 4 main classes of applications to help protect your system against malware and hackers or malicious traffic. So you got antivirus, defense against viruses and worms and Trojan horses. They are all classified as malware, malicious software, right? Malware, malicious software. Then you have anti-spyware, which is a different type of, software, like it's different software that defends against advertising, right? Like advertising, ads just popping up on your screen and stuff like that. Then you have anti-spam, reduces the amount of junk email. I'm not sure about that. I think there's a different kind of a setting that you have on the server to reduce junk, but anti-spam software, if there was one, I guess we'll all install it, right? If it was effective. Then you have software firewalls to block potentially dangerous network traffic, right? So dangerous network traffic is totally different from viruses, even though that's also dangerous. But when we talk about software firewalls, we're talking about attacks that can be targeted at things like your IP address, your MAC address, different ports on your computer, what kind of systems work, what kind of systems or what kind of files are in your organization. That's kind of different, I think, from antivirus, which just does a basic level cleanup, right? Against viruses and worms and Trojan horses, which can be embedded in email links and different websites that we go to. All right. Also, viruses, worms, and Trojan horses, in some way or the other, you are responsible for allowing these things on your computer. Your computer will never get infected if you didn't do something. You probably clicked on a link or you went to a website, right? So that is always a user, there's always a user action there, right? There was a time when I was working as an IT professional in the office. So I got a call from our IT partners that one of our computers used in the accounting department that we had to shut down that computer immediately. It had been infected. I was quite surprised because that particular guy in that office, he knows he shouldn't just do stuff like that. I mean, he processes the payroll. If his computer is down, nobody gets paid. So I went to him and I said, "Why? How do you do this? Your computer has been infected. What's going on?" He said, "Well, he got an email from his boss, right? So his boss is the finance director, okay? He said he got an email from his boss. He clicked on it, and all this stuff happened. So I went to his boss and I said, "What's happening? Why? What's going on? Why did you send? Where did you get the email from? Right? Where did you get that email from that you forwarded to the accounts department?" You know what he said? He said, "Oh, the email came from the CEO." I said, "The CEO?" So we looked at the email, and the email was supposedly from the CEO, but what the email said was, "I'm on a trip, somewhere. I'm out of state. I need you to wire like $250,000 to my account, right? And I need it urgently." So, Alex, can you believe that? So this guy told me that he didn't really read the email. He just saw the name. It looked like the CEO's name, and there was a request of something, and he just forwarded it to the accounts guys to take care of it. I said, "What is wrong with all of you? What is wrong with all of you? You didn't read the email." When he finally read the email, he was so embarrassed for himself.
Yeah, he should be.
We should have fired him, but we didn't fire him. You said what, Alex?
Oh, yeah, he should be embarrassed about that.
Yeah. If he had only read the email, it would have been very obvious that this cannot be from the CEO. This is spam or, phishing, like Sam said. It's phishing. When they send you emails and get you to, take some action, right? Or see if you're going to fall for that scam. So that was terrible. That was really bad. We had to shut down the guy's computer and stuff like that. And it was just a lot of hassle. So for worms and viruses and stuff to infect your computer, there's something that you did to allow it. You may not have realized, but there's something that you did. So one of the strongest defenses against antivirus, I've showed you guys my antivirus many times, right? You got to have your antivirus running, and some students tell me, "Oh, I have the free one, I'm fine." I recommend that you go and buy a commercial product, right? It doesn't cost a lot of money every year. You buy it for a year or for 2 years, right? It's a good investment to protect your computer, because if your computer gets infected, you may not even know. That's the worst part of it. You may not even know that your computer has been infected. And then stuff is happening in the background, which can be, which can give you a lot of problems down the road. So free things are good, but some things you just have to spend a little money, right? Especially when we talk about security. Don't take things for granted and just say, "Oh, I'll be okay." So, all right, let's move on to the next question. Lynn, you're next. So this is going to be antivirus. That's what's recommended here.
No, it's firewall.
Yeah, it's A.
Oh,
Yeah, it's A.
Oh, is it a firewall?
Yes, so,
Yeah.
Is that the answer? Which type of software?
Malicious network
The
traffic.
software fire. Yeah.
Traffic.
Network.
So
It's for the
network
network
traffic.
traffic. Yeah.
software.
So you guys know the answer now, right? Now that you've checked, you guys are just, oh, it's network, it's A. Let me just sit back and have you guys answer all the questions. Well, I think it's going to software firewall because of the network part of it. The network. Let's read how it explains the answer. All right, so a software firewall protects your computer against malicious network traffic. So I think it's got the network there, right?
Okay, so
it's the network. It's the network. The fact that it's not like directly, on your system. It's coming through a network, and so there have to be a bigger installation of a kind of a software for that firewall. Now let me show you guys. Let me just kind of stay with that for a second, and show you what we refer to as your firewall. Well, this is a firewall on your computer, but there's a firewall that's going to be on the network if you're like in the office, at the school, stuff like that. It will be kind of something like this. All right, so if I go in here, now this is what your firewall looks like. I know that when you go, when you do a Google search for firewall, it always shows you a brick wall with fire, right? This is what a fire. When you go and check it out online, you see a picture of fire, right? Something like this. Basically, the job of a fire. What does a wall do to fire? A wall contains the fire, so the fire doesn't spread, right? It keeps the fire in. So that's the whole idea. It's not like it burns anything up, right? Like it burns the virus. No, it blocks it from spreading. Okay? It blocks it from spreading. So if you have if this is your computer and stuff like that, your local area network on the right, and you have all these bad guys from the outside trying to get in, the firewall is going to contain them, stop them from moving forward, right? So this is what the firewall looks like, a software firewall. Now, if you look in here, you're going to see, if you guys can see this, it looks a bit small, but if you guys can see that, it says outbound rules, and then you have inbound rules. Basically, outbound is stuff going out of your computer, and inbound is stuff coming into your computer, right? So you have to set up a bunch of rules. That's what a firewall does, right? It sets up rules of what can happen, what kind of traffic can come in, or stuff like that. So let me show you an example. So let's say here I click on new rule, and now you're going to see the options, right? Like, what kind of rule do you want to create? Is it a rule for a program, for a port, blah, blah, blah. So let's just say for a port, right? Now, if you guys remember when we talked about HTTP and HTTPS, HTTP and HTTPS, all the different kinds of protocols. I know you remember the protocols, DHCP. We have all these different protocols, SMTP for emails, POP3. All right, so all these different protocols, HTTP is for unsecured website traffic. HTTPS, that's for secured website traffic, right? Secure website traffic. FTP is for file transfer and all that. So, say that again?
Protocol. I said protocol.
Yeah, exactly. All this protocol. Exactly, they're protocols. All right. So they're protocols. Now, each of those protocols has what we call a port number. It has a port number, right? It's kind of like if you live in a large, apartment complex, right? When we get to the number of the of the complex, let's say 110 Main Street, well, we have to look for your specific apartment, right? On your computer, we have about 65,000 different services or ports, 65,000, right? About 65,000 for HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, DHCP, all these different protocols, right? All these different protocols, they're about 65,000 on your computer. Plus, they each have a port number. It's kind of like, a doorway or an apartment number, right? When traffic is coming to your computer, it needs to know if it's HTTPS traffic, what is the port number? If I want to send mail to your house and you live in a large apartment complex, I have to write 110 Main Street and your specific apartment, right? So when messages or traffic is coming to your computer, it's trying to figure out what port. So for example, for HTTPS, the port number is 443. For HTTP, the port number is 80. For FTP, the port number is 21, and so on and so forth, right? You have all these different ports. So if I go to my firewall and let's say I want to block traffic, like I don't want any HTTP traffic coming to my computer or leaving. I don't want any HTTP. Basically, I want to block, web activity, no internet on my computer or in the office, right, in the company. So I'm going to go to my firewall. I'm going to select ports. I'll click next. Now it's going to tell me to specify the port. What port do I want to block, right? Or maybe how many ports. So let's say here I say port 80. See, I want to block port 80. I'm not going to block it because if I block port 80, my Zoom is going to stop working, right? But just to give you guys an example, all right, so I click next here. Then I say, what do I want to do? Allow the connection, allow it if it's secure, or block the connection. I want to block the connection, right? I don't want any internet, in that company because, we have some kind of alert or for whatever reason, right? That's what I want to do. I want to block the connection. So I click next, and I say, I just give it a name, like a random name, right? Like, block, something like block port 80. All right? And then I go to click finish, but I'm not going to click finish because it's going to affect my connection. Right? So once I click finish and I'm done with that rule, it's going to put the rule in here as a valid rule. Right? I wouldn't be able to connect. I wouldn't be able to get internet, connections, blah, blah, blah. That is a firewall rule. That's what firewalls are. Right? Firewalls are basically a bunch of rules, right, that determine what kind of traffic can come in to your computer or can leave, right? It's a very strong and powerful software that, is installed on your personal computer and generally on a network if you're in the company, at the school, or something like that, right? The only thing is you don't want to mess around with your firewall if you don't know what to do. Just leave it the way it is. It's fine. If you mess up with it, you can be in a lot of trouble. You're not going to know how to fix it. So don't touch it. When you're on the job, they're going to train you on how to do that, right?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Is it firewall like antivirus we have to buy?
No, actually no. So that's a good question. Your firewall comes automatically with your computer. You don't have to buy anything. It is, I mean, if you go to your control panel, like I just did, right, you're going to see your firewall is part of your system security, right? You don't have to do anything about it. It's just right there. Of course, well, you can, the only thing you can do, or a few things you can do, is you can disable it if you want. Like, I don't want the firewall. I don't know why you're going to do that, but you can. You can't uninstall it, so you can turn it off or on, but you can't remove it, right? You can't uninstall. It's like, I don't know. It's like I don't even know what example. It's like having a car and taking out the engine, taking out the tires, taking out the steering wheel. I mean, what's the use of the car, right? So you should never use your computer without the firewall. But antivirus, when you buy your laptop or your computer, you might have, like, you know, a limited 3 months or 6 months thing, right, for free, and then you have to subscribe or go buy your own. So antivirus does not come with your computer automatically, but firewalls come with your computer automatically. All right? So that's a great. Actually, nobody has ever asked me that question ever. That is such a great question. I have never had that question before. Like, do you have to buy firewall? So that's a good one.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's go on here. And so like I said, that answer is because of the network traffic, not just directly to your computer. So there you go. All right. All right, next question. May, this is for you. Number 8.
Yeah, number 8. You are using Google.com and you want to ensure that when you type your first name to a web page, all of your other information fill in the fields for you. That should you do? What should you do?
You know what that means, right? Like when you put in your information. Like if I go to Quincy College, once I get in there, all my information is there automatically, right? My password is there, my username is there. I don't have to type it in. So it's saying if you want to do that on a new website, what should you do?
I like enable cookie or enable autofill.
No, it's enable autofill.
All right, let's see.
I have 2 choices.
Let's see cookies here, like Cookie Monster in Sesame Street, right? So let's see cookies. Actually, we looked at cookies the other time. It didn't give us anything too specific, but let's see. All right. So you know what? Let me go here. Let me just go in here and say, let's look for something here. So let's do a search. So let's look at it. This is a nice picture here. All right, so look here. It says, cookies are small files that websites send to your device that the sites use to monitor you and remember certain information about you, right? Remember information like your shopping cart or your login information. right?
Mhm.
So cookies, for example, okay, let me show you this example, right? If I go here to Amazon, right? Once I type in Amazon.com, see, it's going to go straight to my account, right? It's going to log me straight into my account. I don't even have to sign in, right? It goes straight to my account. Okay. But I'm getting a lot of interference. What's happening? Is somebody on the bus? Okay. Well. All right. So, but if I go to if I open a private window like incognito, right, and I go to Amazon.com. Now, see what happens? It's asking me to sign in because it doesn't know who I am. It doesn't know who I am. When I go into a regular browser, it knows me instantly. But when I go in through the private mode, it doesn't know who I am. In the private mode of your web browser, it doesn't store cookies or anything. So it doesn't have your information. It's not going to ever store your information in that private mode. All right? So that description there is cookies help you to store your login information in the browser. Now let's see the other options there. Let's look at autofill. Okay. Now here's another info here. Look at that here. So one second. All right. So it says another security setting to be aware of is disabling autofill. Autofill is a feature that automatically populates fields in a form. So cookies do that part. Autofill also do a part of it, right? It populates fields in a form on a website, on a web page for you, just like what we talked about, right? So instead of having to type it, once you start typing your first name and your last name, it automatically fills everything for you, right? Autofill can also save and enter in credit card information payment too. Okay, so we have to figure out which of these two is it asking us for now. So right here it says if you're in a public space, right? Let's say you're on a public computer, you should definitely disable autofill. Now, if you're in Chrome, it says the autofill settings are under settings, advanced settings, password, and forms as shown here. So let me go to my Chrome and let's see how we can do that there. So we go to settings. All right, so look right here. So autofill in Google Chrome. All right, so right here it's asking me what I want to do. Do I want to disable? Do I want to disable saving passwords? Do I want to disable auto sign in? Right? So all the different websites, right? All the different websites where information is, you can decide to disable all that stuff. All right? So it looks like we know the answer now. May, what do you think? It looks like, we probably.
Yeah, it's autofill.
It's autofill, right? Because that is directly connected to what we're talking about. If we go back to that question. So you're using Google Chrome, right? And you want to ensure that when you type in your username and the password, it fills all the information. What should you do? Number 8. So autofill or cookies. Let's verify that. All right, so autofill is the name of the service that remembers your personal information. When you begin to type your information into an online form, autofill will populate more of it, whatever it has stored for you. All right?
Yeah.
So autofill. Okay, Couch, the next one is for you. So this is enable autofill.
Your manager just got a new workstation. He wants to know which user accounts he should disable to increase security. What should you tell him to disable?
All right, so let's look at this here. Let me do this. Okay. All right, let's go here. Oh, that's pretty small. Let's try this one here. Okay. Now, you may not have seen this window if you haven't worked in an office environment, right? But if you have, then you may have seen this window. When you're setting up, let's say you work in a company, right? And they're setting up your computer, they have to assign you a role on your computer. Like, are you the administrator? Are you a guest? Are you one of the different users, right? They're going to assign you different roles if you're part of what is called a domain, part of a network. If you're just by yourself, just like on your computer, you're not going to see any of this here, right? Let me check something out here. Okay. So you can see this couch, right? It talks about user accounts. All right, so let's go to, okay. So on your personal computer, you're only going to have one account, okay? It's a personal computer. But if you're working in a company and you're part of a network, then you're going to see these options here. They're going to be different options instead of just one, right? These are my two kids when they were like 3 and 4, 3 and 5 or something like that. That's like 10 years ago. Okay. So if you're in a company, you're going to see more options. Guest account, admin accounts, and different accounts, right, on the computer. The IT people are going to set up based on the role, on your role in the company. Okay? So the question is about when you're in a network, right? It says your manager just got a new workstation. What's a workstation? A computer. That's what it is, right? Just got a new computer. He wants to know which user accounts he should disable So if this is your manager here, and they got this computers, which accounts should they disable for security? Should it be the admin account, the guest account, or one of the other accounts, right? That's what it's asking you about.
Administrator.
So let's look at this. Excuse me.
Maybe admin.
Okay, so look at this here. Let's keep going. Okay, so look at what it says here. We just talked about that. So all computer operating systems come with multiple levels of user accounts, right? With different sets of permissions. If you're the administrator, you can do something else. If you're the user, you can do something else. If you're a guest, different permissions, right? Different things you can do. So these three categories here, the admin account, that is, you can do anything, right? You're like in total control of that account. The user, that you have standard user accounts. That is for, you know, all regular users. And then right here, guest accounts. So look right here, Cal. So guest accounts are for very basic access, such as maybe somebody comes to the office and they're going to be there for just, you know, they're just very, very brief. They need to do some work and leave, or something in the public, right? The guest account is usually created by default, and it should be disabled because it represents a weakness that can be exploited by an attacker, right?
Yes.
In fact, Windows 10 doesn't even have it anymore. Windows 10 does not come with a default guest account. All right, so very important here. While the account cannot do much, it can provide initial access to a system, and the attacker can use that to find another account. So the guest account, like I just showed you guys here, right, might be activated on that computer and might pose a problem. Okay? Has anybody, you know, Alex, has anybody seen this window with admin and guest and stuff? Anybody? No? It depends on if you've worked, you know, it's not something you're going to see actually, right? This is for IT people when they're setting up computers. So maybe one day to be your job or you get trained for that, but especially when you're working with a server and you have to set up multiple users, right? That's an option there.
Yeah,
So let's see what it says. Back to that. Go ahead, Anu.
I saw in library, the guest account they will give us. If you take
Okay.
you take a
Go ahead.
computer in the library, they will give us.
They give you a guest account.
Yeah.
Well, so what he's saying is, yeah, that's possible in a public setting, but the guest account might cause some problems if it's not properly managed. So the question was, which account should you disable to increase security? So what would you tell your boss? The guest account?
Administrator.
Disable the administrator account, right?
Yes.
No, guest.
No,
Yes.
guest account.
No.
Yes.
If you disable the administrator account, the computer is useless.
Yes. It's guest account because
Well, let's see. Maybe Couch knows something I don't know.
no, I think
When
it's
in school,
someone can log into the administrative account.
we're in school, so
Yes.
we're in school, so we're all trying to learn. But see what it says here. You cannot disable the admin account, right? It's like that is your primary access into the computer, right? The owner of the computer is the administrator. If you disable that account, how are you going to get in? You can't get in. So it says disabling the guest account is a good security measure to reduce the number of entry points. So the owner of the account, the person who has control to install, uninstall, and all that stuff, is the administrator.
Yes.
So you don't want to disable that at all. That's why if you own a laptop and you forget your password and your username, you're going to have a serious problem. You know, you keep trying and you just forget everything, you're going to be in serious trouble. There's no way to get into that laptop. Right? Has anybody ever forgotten like your username and password on your computer? Nobody has ever forgotten that because it just saves it for you automatically. Well,
Yes.
hopefully you don't ever forget it. Because if you do, it's going to be serious trouble. There's no way for you to get in. You have to go and pay a hacker to help you out. Okay. Next question. Lynn, this is for you. Oh, what's the other question? Let's see.
Henry,
Number, so this is guess right here. Number 10.
which of the following detection is not considered a web browsing best practice?
Okay, Lynn, what does best practice mean?
Best practice.
What does it mean?
Practice.
Should I say it in Chinese?
But I know the meaning.
Oh, okay. Tell us the meaning in Chinese, and then maybe May will translate.
练习吗？练习。
May, what did Lynn say?
Like
Just like
the-
do something.
yeah, the best way
many
to
times.
do it.
Yeah, exactly. The best way, exactly. The best way to do something. Exactly. The best way to do something. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The best way. Right? Or should I say the recommend? Yeah, something like that, right?
Mm.
The best way to do something, you know, the most acceptable approach. So basically, using your idea, so saying that when you're browsing the web, right?
Mm.
What are the best actions you should take? The best actions, the best way to do it when you're, you know, browsing the internet. You know what I mean? What are the best actions to take? Lynn, do you understand now? So
Yeah, but this one is
This way is
Not.
the best way to do it.
yeah, So now you go to the opposite, right? So not. So now you understand what best practice is. Now you're saying what you should not do, right? Like the opposite.
Do
So which of
nothing.
the following is not considered the
Yeah,
best
do
practice?
nothing. So
That
when
don't
the
do this.
closing, understand the source, the warning. Because the best practice, the opposite is the do nothing.
Yeah, best practice is like do this. It's like thumbs up,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Not considered should be a thumbs down.
Uh-huh.
So when you say close untrusted source warnings, that is, you go to a website and they say, this website is not to be trusted, and you just close it out, like those little pop-ups. So basically, I think it's saying, what should we do and what should we not do? So is it a good idea? Is it a good idea to limit the use of PII? What is PII? What is PII? PII. Personally identifiable information. Personal information. That's PII, right? Your birthday, your social security number, your credit card number, your medical record number, all those address, all that stuff. Exactly. So, is it a good practice?
No.
To limit the use of PII? It is a good practice. Yeah, you should limit it. You don't want to use all your personal information everywhere. So this question, the not here is what makes the question confusing. Like, okay, what is it? Is it asking for, the opposite, the good one or the bad one? So is it a good idea to disable autofill? Is it a good idea to limit PII? Yes. You don't want to use PII everywhere. Is it a good idea to disable autofill? Yes, because somebody else might just be able to get into your different accounts. Is it a good idea to close untrusted source warnings? I'm not so sure. Is it a good idea to update plugins and toolbars? Yes. So I think by process of elimination, C sounds like the answer, because all these three, A, B, and D, are kind of like, good ideas. C is not a good idea. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because the way the question is, well, those three answers, you can group them together, but this C one here, so let's just go in here and see what it is. That's question 10. All right, so see what we did here, right? So you kind of use the process of elimination to say, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. So it says you should recognize untrusted source warnings and act on them. So if you click on a website and it says this website is suspicious, right? Don't just ignore it and continue. You should say, oh, I get it, and stop right away. You know what I mean? It's like when you see a warning, it's like when you go here. Here's an example. Say, okay. So if you go into a store, right, and you see the sign, what are you going to do? You're just going to walk straight into the sign, right? Or you're going to avoid it? Lane, what will you do when you see the sign in a store? What? Just keep going like nothing. Just keep walking on that same wet spot.
No.
You're going to avoid it. You're going to go away from it, right?
Avoid
it. Avoid this way.
You're going to avoid it, exactly. You're going to avoid it. Go away from there, right? It's a warning. The floor is wet. If you go there, we might have to call 911, okay? Maybe you break your back or something. So that's a warning. On the website, you might see a warning saying this website is suspicious. All right, so here's an example. Yeah, you might see a sign like this telling you link. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So what it's saying is if you go to a website and you see this kind of a warning, now you have an option. It says, get me out of here, or says, ignore this warning. Which one should you select? What? Ignore this warning, or get me out of here?
Get out of here.
Oh, okay. So that's what it means there, right? When you see those kind of warnings, don't just say, I don't care. I still want to see what's happening there. And you ignore the warning. Well, your computer is just going to say, you have been attacked. You know, stuff like that. So that's what it means there. Don't ignore the warnings. Act on them appropriately. Okay, let's zoom on here. So that is C. All right, number 11, the managers of your company, Arch, this for you, have decided to implement stricter security policies. They want to be very strict with their security policies. Which of the following should they do?
Yeah.
Arch?
Enforce password policies. No. Develop A and B. I'm not sure about D because I think A and B. Develop,
A and B, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're right. Written policies and procedures should be enabled, and password policies should be updated. You know, the length of the password, the complexity, like we did on Monday, right? Okay. So that's A and B. All right, Alex, back to you. Number 12.
Could I ask you a question about number 11?
Sure.
The last one. I mean, didn't you say that HTTPS is more secure?
It is. That's the hyper transfer protocol secure, just like you see on most websites now. The HTTPS show you the padlock.
Yeah. So D is not the answer because it doesn't make sense that you would enable that on the corporate web server. Is that?
That's a good point. Yes. No, but actually, it's the other way around. It should be enabled already because it's the secure. It's the secure way of, you know. So it's like, you know, that's why it doesn't make sense. It's like it should be enabled. You know, it's like if I say, don't put water in your tank, in your gas tank, right? It's like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So that's like a normal thing to do. But C, disable host firewalls Why would you want to do that? You should
Yeah,
never
yeah.
disable firewalls.
Right. That doesn't make
You know?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So these first two are, to make things more effective, right? Those first two there.
Seems like the question is about the company's local network. What HTTPS would change on the local network?
Yep. So that's also a great idea. So when you talk about corporate web server, then it's not talking. It's different from your local, like in the office, not in the headquarters, right?
Yeah, right.
So so this question, we got to look at every little, every single word, because we got it. Okay, number 12.
Coworker Rachel has recently discovered that when she starts typing,
Alex, go ahead. This is for you, right?
Yeah, in a web browser, her whole name appears as well as her address in the appropriate boxes. What is this due to? So, autofill, we talked about it already.
Autofill, yes.
Autofill.
Yes.
All right. All right, 13. And let's go back to you.
Yeah. You have been asked to give training on network security. For your section on password management, which option should you recommend to users? Do not use complex password because they are easy. Change default passwords. Use the same password on multiple. Do not reuse the same password. So question is?
So you're talking about passwords, right? You're trying to train people on passwords. So what tool should you tell them to do? Like, this is the best option.
First one is B. Change the default passwords. And the D, do not reuse the same password after you are required to change it.
Okay. Yeah.
Or C.
Yeah. No, C.
No,
I don't think
not C. Yeah.
Use the same password so they can remember everything, right?
No.
Some of us do that.
Yeah,
okay.
B and D are sure.
Okay, number 14. Lane, back to you.
You are in library that has free computers to use for internet browsing. Which of the following should you possibly be connected about?
No, not connected.
Concerned. Concerned.
Concerned about. Show the certain key. A and B, A, B, and C. I don't know what is the key log. Yeah, I don't know what is this. Key log.
What are key loggers, right? Key login. Okay. All right, so here's what keyloggers are, so I can explain to you. So a keylogger is a kind of a software, right, that can be installed on your computer. So every time you type on your keyboard, whatever you type is saved somewhere. Somebody knows what you're typing.
Oh.
Right?
Like a,
so that's
like
a keylogger. It's a kind of
like a history, something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Like the history of what you're typing, not just the websites you're going to, what you're typing. So if you type, let's say you say let's say you're typing your password. Username is EEE333. That's your username, and then you type your password. Everything you type, every little key that you type is recorded and saved somewhere. That's a keylogger. And you may not even know it. Right? You may not know it.
How can we?
So I think E. All of
Wait, sorry. Wait, Lynn, 1 second. Arch had a question.
It's me, Kaush.
Couch. Okay.
How do you know that kind of things happen, and how do you avoid that?
Well, how do you know that it happened to you, and how do you avoid it? That's a good question with no answer. So, what? Well, that's why. Well, what do you guys think? Anybody's suggestions? What do you think?
We should not
How do you avoid
give. We should not give our personal information outside, like in the library.
How do we?
Should not
Yeah,
ask
you.
In,
Couch, go ahead.
in case of if we have to use if we have to log in through that kind of computer, how do we do that? Kind of.
Well,
avoid it.
say it again, Anjuman.
Yes. How to avoid it? How can I know it is happen or not?
Well, I think that. Well, Sam, what do you think? How do you avoid stuff like this?
I have no idea about keyloggers.
It's kind of like a software, kind of. It's so installed.
It's a software that has been installed on a computer system, you know, the laptop or the desktop. But how do you avoid it? I think that you should be very careful about using a system or a computer that you are not used to, if you can help it. For example, if you go to the library, right? Now well, you expect that libraries are, you know, secure, but you never know, right? You never know. So the best thing to be absolutely sure is to go with your own laptop, and then maybe you sign into their Wi-Fi and use your own laptop, right? And always make sure that your laptop is with you. If you leave your laptop somewhere else, you know, where you're not sure of, then there's a possibility, right? So whatever system you're using, make sure it's a system that you have used before and you're comfortable with, right? It's like, I think we talked about it on Monday, right? It's like, let's see, it's like going to websites. You know, I think I think it was Lynn, I forget who it was, say, where do we download software from, right? Well, you have to know trusted websites. Say it again?
Yeah, yes.
That's a question from Anu.
Yes.
Okay, what's Anu? Okay. Now, you know, where do you know, how do you know what websites to download stuff? Well, it has to be trusted websites that you have used before, right? That have used before. So, keyloggers, if you go to the library or you go to a public place and you just use the computers, especially when you use those computers to type personal stuff, like you go to the library and then you log into your bank account, that may be a bad idea, you know, except you have no choice, you know, and you just can't help it, you know. So in a public place, you can go to the library and go and watch Netflix. Okay, that's okay, right? But, so, yeah, whatever device you have, make sure it's your device that you are in control of. That may be one way, you know, if you leave your laptop in a place, don't just leave your laptop anywhere, you know. Yeah. That's one way to, you know, probably limit that kind of action possibly happening.
Yes, thank you.
Right? I mean, also, you know, I guess that's just it. Whatever device you use, computers, laptops, make sure it's yours, or, you know who has been using it before you use it. You know what I mean? Make sure you know who has been using it before you use it. So, Lynn, that's what a keylogger is.
My answer is
So
E, all of them.
Yeah, shoulder surfing. Somebody might be looking at you, right? Like,
Yes.
what is Lynn typing this time? You know?
Yes.
Somebody might be looking at that. The Wi-Fi may not be secure because it's a public place. Okay, so I think that makes sense. All right, so right here, you have remotely logged into your corporate network. Which of the following is used to ensure encryption of data in transit between your laptop and corporate servers? So here we should talk about VPN. VPN is a virtual private network, right? Let me show you a picture. All right, so usually when we talk about VPNs, you might see a picture like this. You might see a tunnel, right? Now, this tunnel is not like when you go on Storrow Drive and you go into the tunnel, or you go, on the O'Neill Bridge and you go into the tunnel. No, it's not a physical tunnel, right? Let me show you what I mean. Not a physical tunnel. Okay, this is a physical tunnel here. Right, that's a tunnel. When my son was little, he likes going to tunnels. Like, a tunnel coming up, we all get excited, we go into the tunnel, everybody's screaming and shouting, right? So that's a physical tunnel. Well, this tunnel is not physical, it is digital, right? Digital, sort of, or what we call logical. You don't see it, but basically it creates a secure path between two points. A secure path, not just through the internet, but on the internet there's a more secure path on the internet where your traffic travels. It's called a VPN tunnel. So VPN there says a virtual private network is a secured, encrypted connection between two computers. It is used very much in corporate environments. If you work in a bank, you work in the office, you work in the school, they're most probably going to use a VPN to ensure that their communications are secure and encrypted. All right? So it's a secure system, a VPN, right? It's not, like I said, it's not an actual tunnel, but it's more digital for data traffic between, co-workers in an office and stuff like that, right? A more secure. Actually, you can even download and buy VPN these days, even privately, right? There are a lot of companies that offer VPN for whatever connections you have to do. In fact, Lynn, I have students who are in China, right? Some of my students, they actually are physically in China because they can come here. They connect to us using VPN, right? For a more secure network. And they told me, is this true? They told me that when the government celebrated, was it 100 years or 200 years or something?
Yeah.
Like a month ago, that the government shut down all internet. So they had to go and buy like VPN 35 bucks or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay. So it's true, right? I thought they were trying to avoid assignment.
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's what VPNs do. It gives you a secure connection and stuff like that, right? So I'm going to answer that question myself. Let's go. Let's see. Let's verify what it is. Chapter 10. So that's what the answer is. As VPN is a secure encrypted connection between two computers. All right. All right. Let's wrap this up. So that's VPN right there. Which of the following are considered characteristics of a strong password? Choose two. Long, uses patterns, uses symbols, numbers, and letters, uses symbols, numbers, and letters, and long.
Long.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Your password should never contain any personal identifiable information, PII. Okay? Number 17. You just read an article about an internet worm recently causing problems. Okay, I think worms should be antivirus now, right? Number 17.
Yes. Antivirus.
Antivirus.
So worms should be antivirus, okay? Two more questions. So that's antivirus. And you receive an email in your inbox. The title of the email is "This is so cool." Inside the email is an attachment with a .exe extension. A .exe extension, a file, right? A file that has .exe, it means that that file is going to install on your computer, right? When a file is going to install, it has a .exe executable. That's what it stands for. .exe executable file, or basically run, right? The file will run. The file will run on your computer. It will download, install, right? So you never want to deal with stuff like that. What should you do? Delete it right away. Delete the email, right?
What if she really sends something to you?
And she has
Bad
to
idea.
tell you what it is and why she sent it and describe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about if somebody sends you, even if it's your friend, right?
You could check
That's
with
very
her.
suspicious.
Maybe we have the option to call Sarah.
Okay, so let's see if we should call Sarah here. Sarah must be a crazy friend. Oh, what did I click on? Number 10. All right. So it's possible, right? It's also possible that her email has been hijacked. Don't click on it until you. Okay, so talk to Sarah first, right? Talk to her. Sarah must be one of your IT friends that does crazy things. So talk to Sarah. I wouldn't talk to Sarah. I would just delete the email and forget about Sarah right away. All right, guys. Well, that's all we got. You can see the other two answers right there. But I think we're done with this here. So next week we have one more chapter to go. It's about business. Business. I think it's part of CompTIA. So we should look at it. Yeah, so it's about all kinds of business related things, business and computer support. Yeah, so we'll do this next week, and then when we're done with this, then we'll start to review. I think in the last 2 weeks, right? The week of the 16th and the week of the 23rd, we use those 4 classes, right, to review the early chapters, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So your assignment to be ready this weekend, I don't have them yet. So they'll be ready, and you guys can work on them towards the weekend. All right, after the attendance, and you guys can be out of here.